Hello, welcome to Duality Books, the maiden episode. If you don't know who I am your host, Mars Saint. A little bit of background on me in case you don't know. I am a writer. I have a profile on Vogel where I blog articles and poetry and just anything that I really want to write. My favorite genre to read and write is fantasy, though. I have been a part of the book community for some years now. Back in 16, I think, is when I started on in the book community, and in 2017, I opened a small little business for graphic designing called Duality Designs. More recently, though, I opened another small business, which is Duality Inc., and it is a hybrid company of a book promotional company and a mentorship service for newer authors. So if you have not checked those out, you can find them on Facebook. I have pages for both. Even though this show and both of my businesses do have the name Duality in common, this show has nothing to do with those. The show is absolutely free to all listeners. You guys don't have to pay me anything to review your books. That's the purpose of the show. That's one of them, at least, but I'll get into that in a minute. It's just my way of giving back to the community that I absolutely love. So, I'm going to run down really quick what the show is going to be about. I intend to review books that are submitted to me by all of you. It could be your own book. It could be that you really loved and want to hear me review it. And I'll tell you at the end of the show how you can get those books to me. The other half of the show, though, will be dedicated to giving out community current events. So if you have a book that's coming out this weekend, you want to get the word out, or you just had a book release, maybe a few days before the airing of the show, or you have an author takeover that you want people to know about. If you're starting a fan group, if you start a new group for writers that is dedicated to something else, I don't know. Anything that you guys feel is newsworthy, you can send it to me. And I will make an announcement at the top of the show, and I will let you guys know what's going on, give you all the deets on all of the book community news, because let's face it, the book community is huge, right? It's gigantic. So it's really hard to keep up with everything that's going on, and us writers, we're just as dedicated to reading as we are to writing, right? So we want to know what's coming out too. This is a great way to connect to what's going on across the whole book community, even pertaining to people that you don't necessarily have added on your Facebook. I know for sure out of the 2,400 people that I have on my friends list right now, there are plenty of people that I don't ever see post. So this is, I feel like a very necessary element in the community. I am also considering possibly opening a group dedicated to the show so that we can discuss in between episodes, the reviews that I give for books, or the books themselves. I think that would be it's sort of like a book club in a way. Comment below if you would be interested in seeing a group dedicated to the show. Let me know. Before I go any further, this is going to be kind of a short episode, by the way. because of the fact that it's the first episode. I don't have a lot to cover. I just wanted to sort of introduce myself and give you guys an idea how the show's going to work. But I do, before I go any further, I want to give a quick shout out to CK Webb. She is the person who gave me a chance. She's the person who helped me break into the business. CK, if you're listening, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Without you, this show would not be possible. I love you, and I hope that we get to talk again soon. Since this is the first episode of the show, I'm going to review a book series that I didn't finish it because it's like this huge, gigantic series that was super popular in the 90s. And they even made a show about it. You might recognize the name. But I just finished like the third book in the series. So I wanted to kind of give a review on those first 3 books. Because I really want to show you guys what it's going to be like. And what the show is going to be like. Sorry. I'm going to review the first 3 books out of the series. I may double back later on and review another portion of the book series because it is kind of broken up into portions, it seems like. Or just wait until I have the whole thing finished. I think there's like 9 or 12 books or something in the whole series. So it's a huge series of books. But I finished the first 3. So I wanted to go ahead and just give like a quick review on that. The book series I will be reviewing is The Vampire Diaries. I know a lot of people really love the series, and they loved it so much that they made it a show. So if you have not watched the show and or read the books, and you have any plan to in the future, now would be a good time for you to turn out because there probably will be spoilers. Okay, let's get into it. And then after I review the book, I will let you know how you can get in touch with me and how you can get me your books and how you can get your book reviewed on the show and how you can get me your book community news. Like I said, I haven't read the whole series, so I know that some things that I say may be things that I don't know about because I never actually finished the series. So, like, there might be some things that I say that are actually incorrect if you and you know that because you maybe read the whole series. But I'm only basing my review on the first 3 books. So if something changes later, I have no clue. Just be warned. There's a few things that stood out to me about the series. The first thing was that Elena is so different. If I had to choose, I think I really loved the book version of Elena over the TV show version of Elena. I did watch the show, by the way, and I loved it. But if I had to pick a favorite, I would definitely pick book Elena over show Elena because, well, I mean, she was flawed. Book Elena is this flawed person. She's a little bit self-absorbed. She's very much more like a typical teenage girl than the show version of Elena. She is popular. She's kind of snobby. She's very self-centered, sort of selfish. Boy crazy, maybe a little neurotic. Honestly, she's more like the show version of Caroline. And it seems like they transferred the book version of Elena to the show version of Caroline, honestly, because I see such a resemblance in their personalities. But I really I like the show version, or I like the book version of Elena. Like, I like flawed characters because it's more realistic, it's more relatable than, characters that are cookie cutter. And the show version of Elena really, it felt to me like the only 2 people who had any right to be mad at her ever because she was like all but perfect was Rebecca and Stefan later on in the series. But, I mean, whereas the Elena in the books, I mean, Matt really gives her what for, early on in the series, and really tells her about herself. The other thing that stood out to me was, you know, the love triangle that the show and the books were based on. In the first 3 books, maybe this will change later, but in the first 3 books, it really felt to me like it wasn't as much of a love triangle as it was a love affair between a human girl and a vampire, and the third wheel of his vampire brother. Like, the third wheel that was his vampire brother. Like, that's it. That's what it felt like to me. It didn't feel like a love triangle. It didn't feel equal. It didn't feel like she felt deeply for both, or that she had any real feelings towards Damon at all. And it felt like it was all towards Stefan. It didn't feel to me like there was really any emotional exchange between Elena and Damon. And that it was pretty mutual. Like, it felt like the only reason that Damon had any interest in Elena was because of the fact that, you know, Stefan had her and he hated his brother, so he was trying to take something his brother had, not because he wanted her, but because he wanted to make his brother miserable. He wanted to upset his brother. So that's just my impression of it, though. Maybe it'll change later in the series. I don't know. There is a lot of other books. But as of the 3rd book, where I left off, I mean, they did seem to have Damon and Elena did seem to have, like, a more camaraderie among them. Like, they actually had some kind of a friendship blossoming. I mean, there is that, so. The only thing that really bothered me about it, other than, you know, the lopsided triangle, was some of the names in the book were kind of cheesy. Honeycutt, Fell's Church, and Smallwood. I mean, like, I don't know. Like, the author did such a great job of naming all the other characters and giving them, you know, a decent background and stuff. It just felt like the author reserved these 3 characters, or these 2 characters and the city name, for last, and then when she got to them, just gave up. Because, I mean, I'm sorry, I don't mean any disrespect, but this is just my opinion. If you don't agree with me, that's okay. It's like nails on a chalkboard to me when I hear them, like, or when I read them. But overall, as far as the first 3 books of the series, as far as I've gotten, I love the book series, I love the show. I don't know which one I like more, because I feel like the show had more going on, and they added a lot because of, you know, how little there really was going on in the books. You know, for a book series, there was enough going on to keep you interested, but there was way more going on in the show. They added more because, you know, transferring a book to a show is difficult, and, you know, so they did a lot of filling. But overall, they did really well. It felt to me like they just sort of picked pieces out of the books and then made a whole new show based on, you know, those few details. And went sort of a whole different direction with it, which, I mean, props to the writers, man, because that's hard to do. That is really hard to do, and they did some really impressive storylines with, you know, from nothing, because, like I said, there's so little of the original material in the show that they really fabricated a lot of it from absolutely nothing. But maybe it'll pick up more, you know, later on in the show. I'm not sure. Or not in the show, I'm sorry, the books, sorry. Maybe it'll pick up more, you know, deeper into the book series. I don't know. I know that I'm definitely going to keep reading. The other thing that really stood out to me was the fact that Elena and Catherine are so different than the show. It's almost like they sort of switched their personalities in a way. they had Catherine as this very sweet person, but she's super selfish. Because she didn't want to give up the brothers. She wanted to have them both for all eternity and stuff. That is actually true to the show. In the book, though, she didn't want to choose between them, so she turned them both. And then committed suicide, I guess. But she was super smart, or super sweet and super kind. She was very sensitive emotionally. So she was sort of like the show version of Elena in that sense, but she was super selfish. Like we all know Catherine to be. So that's something that's pretty ironic to me. But anyway, 5 stars on that book series, as of the 3rd book. I absolutely loved it. So if you have not read it, it's definitely worth a read. Go check it out. You can find it either on Amazon or Audible. If you listen to it on Audible, though, they actually have 3 books on Audible that are written by the producer of the Vampire Diaries, the originals and legacies. Julie Plec wrote 3 books based on the originals that are on Audible. So that's really cool. I think that's really, really cool. So you can also find those books along with the original Vampire Diaries series. So go check those out. Let me know what you think of them in the comments, what you think of the books after you read them. And that's it. Now, how do you contact me? How do you get your book on this show? How do you let me know about all of the latest book community news that is personal to you and your inner circle and your friends? I'm about to tell you how. You can email me all of those little tidbits at authormarssaint@gmail.com. Yep, just email me those details and I will get back to you as soon as I can, and we will get you set up on the show. So again, all you have to do is email me, authormarssaint@gmail.com. Let me know what you're interested in, if you're interested in book community news or if you're interested in having your book reviewed, and I will get in touch. So, I do plan to do this show every week. I'm not sure about the day and time yet. I'm not sure if I'm going to have like a nailed down day and time. I know that I'm going to try to do that because that'll be easier on everybody who is trying to listen. But I don't know yet about exactly what day and time. Maybe Friday. I don't know. I'm thinking Friday maybe. I think this would be a great thing to do on a Friday, to have this to go into the weekend. Definitely make sure that you're sharing the show, that you're letting people know about it, talk about it. You know, we all know how effective word of mouth is, so definitely get the word out to your friends. Let them know, post it, talk about it, and let's kick the door in. I mean, let's make this thing big so that a lot of people can get their books reviewed. I know that I want to do a weekly episode for this, so I'm really thinking Fridays. This week is going to be kind of weird because, this week is going to be weird because this is the first, episode, and it's not going to work exactly the way that it would normally. But, I think Friday is a good day. I think Friday is a great day to do something like this. I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and I hope that I see you guys back here next week. You can definitely count on Friday. I just don't know yet what time, but I will be posting it. So if you don't have me added on Facebook, make sure that you do. My name on Facebook is Mars Saint. If you don't have me added, go ahead and send me a friend's request, and that way you can get all the updates from me about when I'll be posting episodes of the show. I may also post updates about the show on some of my business pages, like my author page and my business pages. So go ahead and give those a like too while you're there. Give those a like too, so that if I do post any kinds of updates on the show, via those pages, you are the first to get an update. All right. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you guys back here next week. Bye.